Okay, just in terms of signing day, I mean, we're excited, we're fired up, and there's a big part of us that's also relieved. We really, in terms of how we handled early signing day, we handled this as National Signing Day. You know, in our mind, we wanted to get 95% of the class done, and I think we're there. You know, it's a drama-free day. We sent out 21 letters, and we got 21 letters back with signatures. And, you know, one of the reasons we do that is we're not a school that oversigns. So we don't go past 85 and then have to call kids 48 hours before and say, we don't have anything for you. So we send out what we have, and we were in a position to offer 21, and we did. There's a chance, and we have told these players this, that you know, a handful of them could possibly be gray shirts. We tell them that before the fact, so they know. And you know, but every year you traditionally have some attrition, one reason or the other. So it's very unlikely that we ever get to that. And then the other thing we wanted to do is maybe hold on to one or two. In February, we still have a position of need or two that we didn't address, that we didn't fill, and we'll see what happens in January. There might be a player out there. The other thing that could happen is, you know, there's things that could happen in terms of fifth-year guys coming back between now and January, so we may have more spots open. But we'll handle that. But like I said, we had 21 letters out, 21 came back. We had a little drama, but very little drama, and which is a good thing. Of the 21 players, I think geographically it's pretty much what we've done. You know, every year we'd want to get 4 to 5 players from North Carolina, and this year we got 4. Certainly consider Sam Hartman from North Carolina, even though he played his senior year in South Carolina. South Carolina has continued to be a good area for us. We got 3 really good players. You know, Dave Cohen and John Hunter continue to do a great job recruiting Georgia for us. That's been a good area. And again, this year we got 6 out of Georgia, we got 5 out of Florida. And then we've got 2 out of the D.C., Maryland area, and really only 1 player outside of our normal footprint, which a player from Connecticut, Rondell Bothroyd, that we're really excited about. So what I'll do is I'll just go through every player briefly. You know, kind of what they bring to the table. I think once again you can see the amount of team captains that we recruit. That is the leadership component, is something we look for. Again, I think any time you're recruiting at this level, there's a pretty good chance that the players of these ability are captains. But we also like them to have earned that title and be recognized for being a captain. So right off the top, Deion Bergen, a defensive tackle. In Florida, we really liked his athleticism. A lot of our recruiting is that you're looking to not fill immediate needs, but the projected needs in 2 years. And I think you can tell by the amount of defensive linemen we took. Obviously, we're graduating Wendell and Duke this year, and then next year we'll have Chris Calhoun, Willie, and Zeke all graduating. So again, Deion's a very athletic tackle. Good student, great kid, just I think has a really good upside, and he's going to get bigger and stronger. But again, the thing you'd say that stuck out about him is he's physical. We loved his athleticism. Rondell Bothroyd is really probably closer to 270. This is a physical defensive end that we're recruiting to play the position really that Duke plays for us, that he's that field end. He's physical enough to play the run. He's also a dynamic pass rusher. We think he really has a chance to be a special player. He was a little bit of a late get for us. We had a player that was medically DQ'd, and because of that, it opened up another scholarship at defensive end. And you know, this is one of the benefits of not completely filling your class in the summer, that a guy like Rondell really, you know, kind of grew up, filled into his body, and had an unbelievable senior year. And we were glad that we had room for him, and that was a huge get for us the last recruiting weekend we had. Kalijah Brown, he was one of the first commits we had in the class. From South Carolina, I think he's ranked as one of the top 10 players in the state. That was a heck of a recruiting battle for us that we won. I'm never going to get into who the battles were against, but suffices to say this is a guy that had a lot of options. And again, just a physical, athletic, defensive tackle. We're really excited we got him. He was one of the very first takes of the class. And again, think he has a great upside. Michael Edwards, Big Mike, again, one of our early gets. And this is probably, you'd say, in terms of the size, height, weight, athleticism, as big and as good looking an offensive lineman that we've ever recruited. These are, I think Mike's a guy that I don't know if 2 or 3 years ago we get him. But I think with the success we've had on the field, with the facilities we're building, with the steps our program has taken, he was a guy that committed early. There was a bunch of programs trying to flip him. There was one program in particular that was doing everything they possibly could to try to get him to not sign. And again, having that signature come in today was a thrill for us. That was a big get for us. And I think he's one of the best offensive linemen in the state. And we're really excited to add him to our program. Royce Francis, a defensive end from Georgia. Just the one thing about Royce we love is he's athletic, but this guy has a motor. If you turn on his film, he does not stop. He just goes and goes and goes. He's already 240. I think he's going to be 255, 260 when he fills into his body. But this is just a high character, great student, great family, and this is a great Wake Forest fit for us. And again, we just love how hard he plays, and he's strong, he's athletic, he's a good pass rusher. I think he's going to be a really good player for us. Devante Gordon. Devante is a guy that we had in camp. We really liked him. Extremely athletic. We got a player last year, Coby Davis, from Murray School in D.C., and Coby has made a great adjustment here. And Devante came to camp, and again, just kids that are big that can move their feet are really hard to find. And he did that very well at camp. He's a guy that unfortunately had an injury his senior year, and he's going to be unable to play next season. So he's a guy that we probably will not bring in until next January. We initially weren't going to do that, but the nature of his injury is he'd probably miss next season anyways. So he'll probably be, we'll see how the injury recovers, but in all likelihood, he'll probably enroll a year from January so that he doesn't lose a year of eligibility in a year that he's hurt. Nasir Greer is a guy we had in camp. Just one of those safeties that I think is physical against the run, is very rangy, athletic. He can play man coverage. We ask our safeties to do a lot in our defense, and Nasir fits the bill. And he had a great senior year. We were, I think, his first offer. After we offered, a lot of people tried to get involved with him, and he stayed true to us and loyal. He committed early. He never wavered. And he is a guy that he's going to be enrolling early, so he'll be here within a month. He'll start in January. Sam Hartman. Sam was the quarterback of the class. We offered him, it feels like 2 years ago. He was the first commit. We had a nice little pipeline going with Davidson Day, and when they didn't play varsity football this year, he followed his coach, Chad Greer, down to Oceanside in South Carolina and had a great senior year. He was the MVP for the South Carolina team on offense in the Shrine Bowl. And again, we were his first Power 5 offer, and he committed. He got a number of offers since then, and he never wavered. A lot of people, again, were trying to flip him at the end, and wouldn't even talk to him, didn't consider it. And the thing we like about Sam is, to me, there's a lot of qualities that he has that John Wolford has. Gym rat, consumed with football, loves the game. I think he's a guy we're going to have to kick out of the film room. And again, we're really excited we got him, and he'll be here in January as well. Orlando Heggs, out of the Bulls School. Obviously, that's a school that has a great history with Wake Forest. And you know, Orlando is a very athletic guard. He runs well. We had a spot open up late, and he was a guy that we were able to get. And again, I think he has a big upside. Again, guys that are 300 pounds who don't look fat, who can run, those guys are hard to find. And Orlando has really good feet. And I think another guy that probably his senior year film got him over the top for us, that really made a lot of strides his senior year. And when we had one extra on the O-line at the end, we watched a lot of film, and this was our favorite. This is who we wanted. Isiah Isaac, this is 2 years in a row that we've got a player out of Buford. Jake Simpson a year ago, Isiah this year. His letter came in last because right now he's out in California for Christmas break, so that's why we had to wait till 10 o'clock to get that one. But I think you've seen in our offense that we have a role for those undersized, really quick receivers, whether it be Greg Dortch, Tabari Hines. And you know, as Tabari becomes a senior, we really wanted to get the next slot in here to complement Greg. And we see Isiah play in that position. Really good change of direction skills, good ball skills, played at a great high school program, and we're excited to get Isiah in the fold. Ja'Cory Johns, you know, Ja'Cory's one of those hybrid guys, comes from a great program at Cartersville. He is, I think, physical enough and quick enough that he can be a really good open side pass rusher. He's also athletic enough and makes enough plays in space that he could end up being a linebacker. He is kind of that hybrid outside linebacker, almost 3-4 defensive end, that he can do both, and it's going to be really interesting how he develops. You know, we'll probably start him as our boundary end, but he's a guy that I think will give us a lot of flexibility, that we can maybe with him do some more 3-4 concept stuff in terms of using him as a weak side linebacker, but we also think he has really high-end pass rushing ability. Michael Juergens out of Damascus in Maryland, he never lost a high school game. I think he was a multi-year captain for him. Great program. This was a really good get for us. We got him late in the summer. At the time, we thought it was our last O-line scholarship, and he was the one we wanted, and he had a number of choices, and we were really fired up when he committed. You know, he graduated with a 4.0. You know, I think all along Wake Forest was the type of place he was looking for, and he and his family had a great visit in the summer, and we were thrilled to get him. And again, he's another guy that never wavered. He will be here in January. So he's graduating high school in the next 2 weeks and will be here. Zion Keith, again, another player that will enroll in January out of Florence Wilson High School in South Carolina. Another guy that we had in camp and just fell in love with. Had all the movement skills, ball skills, competitive drive. You know, you go through a whole camp and you always find out who's coachable and who can complete the camp and do all the things that you need. And I think what you're seeing is we're trying to recruit little bigger corners. You know, guys that when we play some of our half-field stuff can be run supporters. This league is getting very big at receiver, and we just felt we had to get a few more corners, you know, that could match up. And, you know, he's a great, he is physical enough and big enough he can be safety, but he has the cover skills to play corner. So we're going to start him at corner. I wouldn't be shocked in his career if he doesn't play nickel at some point. But the idea of getting a little bigger at corner is something we want to do defensively, and that's where Zion fits in really well. Anthony Manning, down at Lake Nona High School in Orlando. Again, we had a spot open late, and this guy just had an unbelievable senior year. He was kind of a below-the-radar guy as a junior, and then his senior year he exploded. You know, he had 66 passes for over 1,000 yards, 14 touchdowns. Just, I thought, really good playmaking ability. And again, it's, you know, we like those. We don't want to. We can't take too many of them, but guys that can return kicks, return punts, play in the slot, do a lot of different things on special teams. And Anthony has really good ball skills, great change of direction, and excited to get him. Courtney McKinney, running back from North Carolina, another guy that we had in camp. And really the plan this year was to not take a running back. And then, you know, Courtney came to camp and lit it up, competed hard, ran well for a guy his size. He's probably closer to 220 right now. And then his senior film was just too good to not take. And had a great senior year. Coach Hunter watched a game of his during the season and came away and just said this guy was the most dominant player on the field. And for a guy his size, he's very elusive, runs extremely well, and we were excited to get Courtney. And, you know, as things progressed with, you know, we're about to get older at running back. We've been so young there, but next year Matt will be a senior, Cade will be a junior, Tyler Bell is going into his 4th year. You know, we just thought it was a need we needed to fill. Torian Perry out of Lake Worth, Park Vista High School down in Palm Beach County, Florida. Reminded us a lot of Scotty Washington. Again, another guy that maybe did not have a lot of junior film, but his senior year he just exploded. And we want to get bigger at corner and we want to get bigger at receiver. And this is a 6'4", 6'5" guy that can jump, has ball skills, can run, and plays at a really high level of football. So he was a guy that we got a little bit later in the process and excited he's with us. Nick Skiba, kicker out of Clover, South Carolina. Obviously with Mike Weaver graduating, that was a huge need that we had to fill. And you know, we had Nick in camp last summer and was just incredibly accurate. I mean, it was the same kick every time. And you know, he was our #1 kicker out of the camps, and we offered him, and he took it. Good student, and you know, the pressure's on him. He's going to have to come in here right away. I mean, that's, you know, we're signing in, hoping that he'll be able to win that job and at least win the PAT field goal job next year. And we loved his accuracy, his consistency. Ryan Smenda, this is probably as good a looking linebacker that we've recruited. Again, out of Fleming Island, Florida, near Jacksonville. Was up this summer, had a great visit. Really, really good student. He was a 2-time captain. Had a great senior year. Committed to us in the summer. He was a guy with the season he had. Some people tried to come in and flip him, and stayed with Wake Forest. And again, I think that in part is because of what's happened here in the last 2 years. I think some of these things that happened late in recruiting, I don't know if 2 or 3 years ago that, you know, maybe we hold on to them, maybe we don't. We had a bunch of guys this year that didn't flinch. Never second-guessed their decision, and I think this guy has a chance, Ryan, to be a really big-time linebacker for us. He had a great, great senior year, and excited about getting him here. And his mother's from Buffalo. So if you come from Buffalo, it's tough stock, Les, right? So just had a great visit with her, and we talked all about the different types of chicken wings, and we both agree we only eat them when we're in Buffalo. So Blake Whiteheart, okay, going right to our backyard. He will start in January for us, right from Mount Tabor High School, and he's been committed, it seems like, almost a year. He was, if Sam was first, I think Blake was second, or Kalijah. Those were probably the first 3. But another guy that was a great lacrosse player and then kind of became a better football player. And he's still a really good lacrosse player. But he will start in January. That was a pressing need with Cam Serenay and Devin Pike both graduating. So Blake will come in and be here this spring, and he'll have a chance to compete right away. And he's a really good combination of 6'4", 235, good ball skills, can stretch the defense. I think he'll be a good blocker. And again, excited to get somebody from Winston-Salem. So this is 2 years in a row now between Christian Beal and Blake Whitehart that we've gotten really good players from Winston-Salem. And, you know, it's great to do that because I think that helps build our program and hopefully help sell season tickets as the people in the neighborhood want to see him play. And then last but not least, Peyton Woolard out of Collins Hill. I just think this is going to be a big-time safety. Again, you know, 6'1", he's probably a little heavier than 170 now, but rangy, instinctive. He's a football player, plays a really high level of football. Had a chance to see him live this year, and again, a guy that committed to us early, never wavered, and we're really excited about him. So we like the class. Every coach at every press conference in America is going to say that. I think in some ways, now that this is our 5th class, and we've been here for going into our 5th year, I think we feel like we know this class better than any other class. And I think every year we've learned to recruit better for Wake Forest and done I think, better job every year of getting guys that fit our school and fit our campus and fit our community. And we're excited. We think it's a good group. We may add 1 more, 2 more, 3 more, maybe no more in February. We're going to kind of see what happens the next few weeks. And you know, I usually sit down with the 4th-year juniors after the season's over, and you know, we expect most of them to come back, but there might be a player or two that decides not to come back, or you know, so we may have a few open, and you know, if that's the case, we may sign a few more people in February. But I don't know how many players are still going to be out there. You know, you never know. So we'll see what happens. But again, we treated this as if it was National Signing Day, not the early signing day period. And in some ways, I'm not necessarily anti having this December signing period. You know, when I went on my little soapbox rant last week, my issue is with the rules changes on the next cycle. You know, I just not excited about the idea of having official visits to juniors in the spring and the summer. You know, so as we go out in January, we'll look to fill a few needs, and you know, the reality of it is you start looking ahead to the 19 class. So we had our first 19, well, not our first, we've had a few 19 class recruiting meetings, but that really becomes our focus now after winning the bowl game. So any questions?
Was there anybody on the list that you meant to not cover?
That I didn't cover?
Yeah, is there anybody on the list that you meant to not cover?
Who else? Who didn't I cover?
I don't remember anything about Kenneth Dix.
Oh, Kenneth Dix. Oh, Kenneth, you know, Kenneth Dix kind of signed his letter late, you know, that he wanted his thing to come out with his announcement. So that's, I apologize for that. Yeah, Kenneth Dix.
Okay, just want to make sure.
No, Kenneth, if you're watching this, I apologize, but we wanted to respect your wish of having your announcement be at your signing date. So you were a late addition that I kind of had a note here to not talk about you until it was cleared, but now it is cleared. Yeah, he's I mean, just again, another, you know, height, weight, speed corner. 6 foot, 200 pounds. His measurables are off the roof, like 38-inch vertical, his opening numbers, and this is another really, really good student. And like I say all the time, that there's a certain fit for Wake Forest, and that fit is high-level football player that football is important to, somebody who's a good student that values what our degree is, and you know, the character that they fit on our campus. And Kenneth, I think, fits all 3 of those things in a real strong way. So, yeah, very excited. I mean, like, I think, okay, where did we like the secondary group and the D-line group on defense, we took numbers there, but we took really good numbers. I think we took some ends that have flexibility. If you look at the guys we took in the secondary, they're all 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2". They're all going to be in that 190 to 215-pound range, and I think it's going to give us a lot of flexibility in the secondary. You know, we just got so thin in the secondary this year, especially when Jesse Bates got hurt, and it impacted our ability to play nickel packages, dime packages, things like that. and we wanted to recruit guys that were safety bodies that could play corner and have cover skills. And you know, most of the linemen will try to redshirt. All of these secondary guys are going to have a chance to play early.